Welcome back, you guys. If you're new to this channel, we've got a lot to unload in this episode, so bear with us. I encourage you to check back on some of the other previous episodes for more details on any of these projects. But the one thing I know you are all dying for updates on most is the Canada GSR4 Eclipse build. I have to apologize for not having more coverage on the cage building already published to you guys. Unfortunately, we ran into a media problem with the memory cards that contain that. Hopefully they'll turn up in the future, but in the meantime, we're gonna try and give you a good summary of it. As you know, we've been working diligently on finalizing this roll cage. It's a 25.3 spec roll cage, which is gonna be certified for 650 in the quarter mile. Dom, as you know, is working on finalizing the welding. He's been curling and twisting up in here for many, many hours to finalize all the welds. And the one thing that delayed us most on this project, and the reason you haven't seen it much, is because we were waiting on the seat. Our customer, Pat, that owns this project, is very detail-oriented and meticulous with the parts that he selects, and he wanted a very specific carbon fiber, satin, or I should say suede, which is a satin finish, seat from Sparco. So we were waiting on that. It's finally arrived so that we could mount the tabs for the seat itself, which will allow us to move forward on setting up the steering and all the rest of the things that need to go with the logistics of making the car, the driver, all comfortable in one. So with that being said, we've got a lot of other great things coming in the future. Billet block is gonna be coming here shortly, along with a handful of other goodies to power this thing down the track. With that being said, we'll get into some of the other things that are going on around the shop. Be sure to look forward to more coming on this project here soon. I know that we're gonna get you a lot of shots of this cage because I'm sure there's a lot of questions about how it looks, how it's finished, and what that entails when it's all said and done. We will have the NHRA coming out to spec and also certify this before it leaves the building, of course. As soon as the cage is done and the steering, we're gonna finalize some other interior items like carbon fiber dash before moving on to tube fronting the front end. The reason that we're doing everything in this stage and process is because we're meticulously and methodically putting this car together, anticipating it going to the paint shop. You kind of want to balance when it's going to go into the paint shop because you want to avoid having any, hiccups down the road, modifying things or having to change things, which can happen when doing a build like this. You may find that we do set something up one way and then later down in the project decide that we want to modify that or change it. If it's already painted, then that becomes just one more headache, step, and expense. So we're trying to get everything done that we know needs to be done before getting it all set off to paint, and then we can really dig into installing and assembling this drivetrain that we've been talking about so much. We've had a boatload of parts arriving almost weekly for this project. One thing we didn't show you guys and we should definitely cover is the fact that it's sitting on a new set of NatFab control arms in the rear, along with the NatFab rear subframe. I know that we've got new subframe coming for the front as well shortly. We've also installed the ceramic wheel bearings from Pro Bearing. Shout out to those guys. They're a friend, partner, and sponsor of our other racing project with the Black Zenith EVO. But yes, this car is also rolling on all 4 ceramic wheel bearings as well. We did test the wheel fitment for the wheels and tires that are for this vehicle. Again, lots of awesome parts arriving weekly for this project. As you can see, we've got these really nice Belloc Industry beadlocks that came for this project, along with a set of Hoosiers. And that's where this car is as far as stages go. You'll notice that the roof has been removed, of course, because we have the carbon fiber roof that's going to be getting installed. And again, strategically, methodically doing that in conjunction with the installation, or I should say, in conjunction with the process of getting this painted over at the paint shop. As I speak towards this project, you're probably noticing everything else going on around me. We've got awesome updates for you on this 81 Trans Am pace car. Tom's over here in the corner. Tom, we're working on finalizing the passenger side manifold for this mirror image twin turbo kit. Tom, as you can see, is mocking up the final runner. And again, another awesome project. I can't reinforce how lucky we are to have all these amazing customers in the shop, seemingly at one time at the moment. This is another project that spares no expense. As you can tell, it's got a billet turbo collector that we're working off of here. And while Tom's finishing that one, you can step over here and check out where we're at on the twin turbo kit itself. The driver's side manifold is pretty much fully finished, so if you want to get some shots of that, feel free to do so. But you'll notice standing here on a frontal viewpoint of this project, the mirror image aspect of this project is the fact that the turbos themselves, which are a pair of Zona rotor 64 millimeters, are mirror in the sense that one of them rotates in the opposite direction of the other, which allows us to have a much more symmetrical design when putting together and plumbing the turbo kit. It's much more visually appealing when everything is symmetrical on both sides. So that's what we're working on as far as this goes. There's a lot more to come, of course, in the future, so be sure to check that out. In addition to that, we're finalizing, I guess, speak towards this 86 Mustang that's on the rack. This vehicle literally just arrived moments before we started this video. It's in here for a full custom exhaust, installing a set of BBK headers before starting that, of course, along with plumbing all the brakes and a handful of other odds and ends in a project car that you would expect. The 69 Camaro is probably days away from heading home and getting ready to go to the paint shop. Lolly's over there in the cabin working on finalizing some of the electrical odds and ends. Lolly's built a full custom wiring harness from this car, front to back. This project features digital dash, digital front and, or I should say LED front and rear headlights and brake lights. I always struggled with the term that these taillights are. What's the term for these? This features the sequential taillights. When you hit the turn signal, it lights up the lights from the inside outward, so you get sort of a really nice modern doot 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 doot, which is a really nice feature. And if you've seen some of our shorts in our other videos, you've probably seen that already. Jay's working on finalizing, bleeding the rest of the brake system after we installed a new set of hubs. Just recently converted this from a Mustang style tube suspension over to Corvette style spindles. So this now is running on a more modern style front spindle setup. Right behind me over here is a 2002 Toyota MR2, which is also nearing its final stages. We recently installed a roll cage, setting up custom bracketry for seat belts. We installed a custom fuel cell setup with all new framework to support this fuel cell and also increase structural rigidity to the chassis at the same time. We ended up deleting the power steering, which is really common on this application. So if you're familiar with it or not, feel free to check it out online. Pretty much all these guys that are racing these cars are deleting the power steering. And in that process, it's recommended to build or install, for that matter, a catch can so that when the manual rack is moving back and forth, it has a way to breathe for the cylinders going back and forth, as well as catching any residual oil that may be left in the system. So we built them a custom catch can to accommodate that. And then in addition to that, one of my favorite features that we most recently are finalizing are these awesome dimple die floor plates over here. That was one of the final requests the customer had, was to set up some really nice floor plates with dimple dies. And we're just waiting on some materials to arrive so that we can finalize mounting those and getting this vehicle back to the customer. You're probably wondering what's going on with the shop cars. The Porsche GT3 itself is fully finished. As you know, we developed a new exhaust system. We actually came out with two different style systems for this application. One of them is more of a straight race design. It utilizes a Vibrant Performance bottle style resonator, which you're going to be able to get a viewpoint of here in a moment. And then the street style, which is the one I currently have on the vehicle, is got a ultra quiet resonator, which is a larger style resonator from Vibrant Performance, and really has a really nice tone for overall driving streetability and eliminating any droning in the cabin, which can be a common problem. But if you're more of a race enthusiast and you want that raw GT3 sound without too much of that crackling and extra noise that you don't necessarily want to hear, then the race exhaust is going to be your perfect fit. But we're looking forward to taking this out to Autobahn Country Club, or a number of other tracks for that matter, later this season. We're gonna do a little bit more testing on track with our new setup, and then you guys can look forward to seeing us at events like Grid Life and alike. If you haven't already been following us earlier in the channel on what we've done to this particular vehicle, we installed the Competition Motorsports roll bar, which we had powder coated to match the color of the car. As I mentioned before, built a couple of different style exhaust systems for this application, currently sporting the street version at the moment. Then we also installed a handful of carbon fiber accents that you can tell, like the rear view mirrors, the spill plates on the wing, and the engine inlet covers. And then on the front end, we did an Apollo Aero carbon fiber hood that is of GT2 design, and also made them functional by buying all the parts from Porsche and installing them on the vehicle, which essentially makes it a GT2 or a GT3 RS style, utilizing the Naka ducts to cool the brakes on the front end. And if you're interested in learning more about that, be sure to check out our other video on the channel that fully covers that in detail. And then, of course, the star of the show, the Black Zenith EVO. What's going on with the Black Zenith EVO? So if you want to step over here, we can talk about that. For the Black Zenith EVO, the most recent changes that we've made in preparation for the 2025 season, we've made some slight changes like updating our intercooler piping, eliminating an extra connection that we really didn't need, one less area for things to leak on the intercooler. So now it's only utilizing 4 HD clamps total. We've upgraded it to a Ross Machine 3.5-inch throttle body. We've also upgraded and modified our fuel rail to accept a 720-pound injector from Fuel Tech. Those are going to be running as our secondaries and give us the extra fuel that's needed to supply the demand that will be there now that we're going to be running full methanol. So that's really the main changes for this car over this winter. There are a couple of other things that I'm not ready to reveal just yet. We're looking forward to try and take this platform to the next level and progress it in terms of its reliability. Doing the racing that we do, it's pretty common that we have a lot of valve train issues, and we're trying to mitigate that and nip that in the rear. So along with that, we're going to be doing a little bit of wiring changes, of course, to help simplify and improve the space underneath the intake manifold. At the same time as, of course, updating it to accommodate the new fuel injectors. So I do have a set of dual parachutes on the shelf that I need to install as well, and we'll be doing that soon. But that's pretty much it for us, and we're planning on getting this thing running here hopefully in the next month or so. So look forward to seeing this out here soon. As you know, we've got a lot going on in the shop, and I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on everything that's going on. We're guaranteed and promised to give you more updates on the DSM, because that's it's a very highly anticipated project, and I know a lot of you are looking forward to that. But if you are interested in learning and seeing more detail on any one of these projects, even the Porsche or the Black Zenith EVO, and you want further detailed coverage, please comment below, because that's the only way we're going to know what to bring you guys. This is a give and take relationship with our audience. And at this point, we want to know, what are we going to put together that you guys want to see and is going to actually be worth your time?